No, he didn't. He asked people to give. When battle came, he asked, I want donations of horses, I want swords, I want arrows, I want bows. Rasulullah was asking. And in Shabi Abi Talib, I said yesterday, that in Shabi Abi Talib, this family of the Hashimis, they spent days and nights and the children crying out of hunger. Why? Because they did not have any food. Because there was a boycott, sanctions upon the family of the Hashimis, on Rasulullah's family. And nobody from the people, I said yesterday, who are regarded as some of the great personalities of Islam, went forward and tried to open this blockade. Nobody came, apart from some kuffar of Makkah. They tried to break this blockade. Rasulullah, through his ajaz, he could have done. But no, Rasulullah wanted to show what this family is made of. This blockade was on the Hashimis. In history, no other person was blockaded from any other tribe, only the Hashimis. And they spent 3 years, not 3 days, in hunger, but 3 whole years in Shabi Abi Talib. And then after Rasulullah, after the passing away of Rasulullah, this is the time of glory. After the passing of Rasulullah, the whole of Jaziratul Arab is nearly Muslim now. They have so much wealth coming in. They have control of Khaybar. They have control of Fadr. And now, again, this family of Rasulullah is having to remember the times of Shabi Abi Talib because of what the government is doing. The same days have come back onto the family of Ahlul Bayt. The same days have come back upon this family. The days of Shabi Abi Talib. And people say they have no need. If they did not have any need after Rasulullah, then Rasulullah had no need in Shabi Abi Talib. If they did not, I don't think you've understood. If they did not have a need after Rasulullah, then Rasulullah had no need in Shabi Abi Talib. Rasulullah had a need in Shabi Abi Talib. The same way as the family of Ahlul Bayt, the family of Rasulullah, they had a need after Rasulullah. But what happened? They took away all these privileges which Allah has ordained for them. These were the commands of Allah which they trampled over with their ijtihad, so-called understanding of Islam. Yesterday I said there is a topic in history of Islam, and this topic comes under the wars of apostasy. The wars of apostasy, when Muslims, according to historians, the Muslims became murtad. And what was the criteria of them becoming murtad? Not paying zakat. I want everybody's attention for 1 minute. Mahmoud, this is a very, very important point I'm going to make now. If this law is applied today, this law, that anybody who does not give zakat is murtad. Okay? If anybody today does not give zakat, knowing zakat is wajib, and he prays, and he does azan, if according to this same principle which was applied by the first state, if this is applied today, then the half of the Muslims, I'm not talking about Shia now, I'm talking about the half of the Muslims, or maybe 75% of the Muslims of today are murtad. 75, 80, and I was looking on the internet to find out how many Muslims, this is the Sunni Muslims, this is not the Shia Muslims, I'm talking about the Sunni Muslims. If the Sunni Muslims, what is the state of the Sunni Muslims? What is the figure which actually pays zakat today? There must be a figure. You can do a census. you can find out how many people in the world give zakat. And if all the Muslims of the world were giving zakat today, I tell you it would amount to billions. Billions. And this is proof in itself that we have institutions who are poor. We have Muslims who are poor. And they are begging. Muslims begging. Muslims dying of hunger. From Malaysia across to whole of Asia, Europe, and right across to Turkey. Morocco. People are dying of hunger. Muslims are dying of hunger. Why? Because zakat is not being paid. Zakat is not being paid by who? By our brothers. And if this law of the first Khalifa is applied today, then this is no exaggeration. Up to 80% of the Muslims are murtad. By this very law which was implemented by the first state. For at least, for God's sake, if you respect these individuals so much, you love them, the first, second and third, at least we will limit it to the first. If you love him so much, then at least implement what he started. At least implement what he started. That zakat, if you do not give zakat, you are murtad, then at least give zakat. Maybe not out of the love of Allah, but out of the love of the first. But no. This law was forgotten. This law of the first Khalifa was forgotten. And today, if you ask any mufti, alim from our brother's side, he will say, brother, no. If you believe that zakat is an obligation upon you and you do not pay it, you are sinful. Point here. You are sinful. You have done sin. If you don't pray, you have done sin. But you do not become murtad. Only reason you will become a murtad, meaning an apostate who has left Islam, is if you deny that this is one of the conditions of Islam. If you do not deny that this is the condition of Islam, and you do not pay out of ignorance, out of laziness, out of forgetfulness, you are still Muslim. You can still have his janazah. You can still do salam dua with him. But he is not regarded as a murtad. So, we come to the conclusion that this law was a law based upon political need. Siyasi zururat. It was a political need. Now, how did they, the government, the first government, Muslim government, what did they do? When they realized that Malik ibn Nawira, who was a tax collector in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was a tax collector during the time of Rasulullah, and then when he learned that the government has shifted to somebody else, he refused to collect the taxes and pay it to the state. So what their ijtihad told them, that we regard salat as a pillar of Islam and zakat also a pillar of Islam. Now because they are not paying, and yet the reason for not paying was not that they were rejecting zakat's obligation. They were not rejecting the zakat's obligation. They were rejecting it because they did not recognize. They did not recognize the government as the government of Rasulullah. That was the only reason. That was their only reason for sending an army. Now what happens? The first state, the first government, they sent out Khalid ibn Walid. Khalid ibn Walid is called the Saifullah amongst our brothers. He is regarded as Saifullah. And I'm not sure whether this is, I'm sure it is not attributed to Rasulullah. This was an invention. This was an invention afterwards. And I'll tell you the reason why it was invented as well. For Khalid ibn Walid, he was a companion of Rasulullah. He accepted Islam during the time of Rasulullah. But what happened? When the first Khalifa sent Khalid ibn Walid to find out what is the situation of Malik ibn Nuwayra and his tribe, he had his eye not upon zakat, he had his eye upon his wife. Mahmoud is laughing. This is no joke. This is no joke. He had his eye on not the zakat, on his wife. And he went to this tribe, and the people of Malik ibn Nuwayra, his tribe, said, look, we are reading Islam and you can hear the azan. We are reading salat, we are praying namaz, and you can hear the azan. We are Muslims. Khalid ibn Walid said, if you are Muslims, then we are Muslims as well. So why are you armed? Okay, they said, we are satisfied. You have not come for any other intention than to have a dialogue. So they put their arms aside, and when they did this, Khalid ibn Walid had them arrested. The whole of the tribe of Malik ibn Nuwayra. And brothers, if you doubt what I am saying as being truth, please read any history book. This is not a Shia. I'm a Shia because I'm saying this to please you. I am telling you some facts in history. Some facts in history. And these facts have been created by Sunni, by Shia writers, but this is from Sunni books. So when they say, okay, we are here to have dialogue, then they put their arms away. And then Khalid ibn Walid uses this opportunity. He uses this opportunity to arrest all the tribe of Malik ibn Nuwayra. They're tied up during the course of the night, and this was in the season of winter, in the cold outside. And then the following day, he has them all slaughtered. Khalid ibn Walid slaughtered the tribe of Malik ibn Nuwayra, who professed to be Muslims, who professed to do the salat, but he had them all slaughtered. So-called Saifullah, this Saifullah, the sword of Allah, according to our brothers, had them all slaughtered. When this news came back to the first Khalifa, I'm going to be another 5 minutes and finish. When this news came back to the first Khalifa and the second Khalifa, who was the advisor, first of all, Hazrat Umar was shocked. This is what history writes. Hazrat Umar was shocked to hear this news, that the tribe of Malik ibn Nuwayra, who was a companion of Rasulullah, who was a Sahabi of Rasulullah, he was killed by Khalid ibn Walid. And then Khalid ibn Walid doesn't just suffice on killing the tribe, he then, history writes this. History has tried to paint a better picture, saying that he married the wife of Malik ibn Nuwayra. If he's a Muslim, he can't marry her because she has to go through a period of iddah. But on that same night, same day, he married her and had relations with her. So, Hazrat Umar, he said that Khalid ibn Walid should be tried according to Islamic law, meaning murder of a Muslim and the act of rape. Hazrat Umar said this. And then Hazrat Abu Bakr said, look, what Khalid ibn Walid has done, that was his ijtihad. That was his Islamic understanding. If you call this Islamic understanding, then what do you call a jahil? If this Islamic understanding, that was his ijtihad, this was his understanding of Islam, then what do you call a jahil? So Hazrat Abu Bakr said, no, I'm not going to try him. He wasn't tried. But one thing which happened, Khalid ibn Walid, after the death of Abu Bakr, he in history becomes nothing, because all his responsibilities were taken away from him during the time of the second Khalifa. Because the second Khalifa had a grudge of what he did. So this was what was implemented to control zakat. And inshallah, in the next and final lecture, I will tie up the loose ends and give you some hadiths from the Ahlul Bayt regarding Khums and the importance of giving Khums. And do not please treat it as the forgotten tax in Islam. Treat it as the living tax, the tax of love. Don't call it tax, call it an expression of love. Khums is the expression of love. And the governments which came, they did everything in this power to wipe away any remnants of this tax. And even in Bukhari, there are chapters on Khums. If this was a temporary tax, why did Imam Bukhari have a chapter on Khums? And every alim from the Sunnis has done a chapter on Khums, because they know in the back of their minds that this was an obligation forever, because there's nothing in the Quran which says that this is a temporary tax during the time of Rasulullah. ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم. اب میں نے آپ کو کافی ساری زحمت دی ہے، اور یہ جو عنوان ہے خمس کا، مجھے پتا ہے کہ ہاں کہ یہ آپ کی جیبوں کے تعلق سے ہے، آپ کی جیبوں کے بارے میں ہے کہ ہاں کہ منظور ہماری جیبوں سے پیسہ نکالنا چاہ رہا ہے. یہ بات نہیں، بات یہ ہے محبت کی. اگر آپ دعوے دار ہیں محبت اہل بیت کے، اور یہ جو قرآن کی آیت میں نے پڑھی ہے، اگر اس کا اطلاق آپ کے اوپر ہوتا ہے تو یوں سمجھیے کہ ہاں کہ یہ ادائیگی مودت ہے، یہ ادائیگی مودت ہے. اور میرے بھائیوں، یہ نہ سمجھیں کہ ہاں ہمارے، یہ بات میں نے سنی ہے کہ بعض لوگ کہتے ہیں کہ ہاں کہ جو وکیل ہوتے ہیں ہمارے مرجع کے، آدھا پیسہ تو وہ کھا جاتے ہیں، تو جو علماء ہیں ان کے پاس کیا پہنچتا ہے. یہ بات آپ کے ذمہ نہیں ہے، یہ معاملہ ان کے اور اللہ کے درمیان ہے. اگر آپ نے خلوص نیت سے خمس نکال دیا، اور جب نکالیں قربتاً اللہ کے لیے کریں، قربتاً اللہ، یعنی خمس ایک عبادت ہے. خمس نکالنا، زکوٰۃ نکالنا ایک عبادت ہے. یہ بوجھ سمجھ کر نہ ادا کریں، یہ ایک عبادت اور اللہ کا قرب حاصل کرنے کے لیے کریں. اگر یوں نہیں ہوگا، اگر نیت نہیں، صرف بوجھ کے عنوان سے آپ نکال رہے ہیں، تو شاید وہ قبول بھی نہ ہو، کیونکہ ہر عمل اس کی نیت کے اوپر منحصر ہے. تو میرے بھائیوں، میرے دوستوں، یہ خمس کے بارے میں سوچیں. خمس کے بارے میں سیدہ نے بہت تکلیفیں جھیلی ہیں. اولاد رسول نے اس خمس کو اپنا ذریعہ اللہ تعالیٰ کی طرف سے ہے، یہ مولویوں کی دین نہیں ہے، یہ اللہ نے دیا ہے، یہ اللہ نے دیا ہے اولاد رسول کو. اور جیسے میں نے پہلے فرمایا ہے کہ ہاں کہ اگر اس دور کو دیکھیں، ہبا تھا رسول اللہ، فدق ہبا تھا، وہ بھی نہیں مانا. پھر وراثت کا مسئلہ، وہ بھی نہیں مانا. خمس کو بھی نہیں مانا. زکوٰۃ پہلے سے اولاد رسول کے اوپر حرام ہے. تو بچا کیا ان کے پاس؟ گزریہ کون سا ہے جو غریب ہے سادات کے؟ یعنی وہی وقت. اگر آج ہمارے دور میں کوئی سید بھوکا ہے تو وہ ہم ذمہ دار ہیں. ہم ذمہ دار ہیں. شیعہ عنوان جو شیعہ ہم کہتے ہیں اپنے آپ کو، میرے بھائیوں، جو سید پاکستان میں، عراق میں، کہیں بھی ہو، اگر کوئی بھوکا ہے تو ہم شیعہ ذمہ دار ہیں. ہمارا خمس وہاں تک کیوں نہیں پہنچا؟ تو میرے بھائیوں، خمس کو ہلکا نہ سمجھیں. یہ آپ کی حلال روزی کا مسئلہ ہے. آپ کے مال، آپ کے کپڑے اور آپ کی نماز کا مسئلہ ہے. اگر خمس نہیں دیا تو آپ کا جو پانی گھروں میں ہے، آپ کا جو نان و نفقہ ہے، آپ کا کپڑا ہے، آپ کا مکان ہے، آپ کی جو چیزیں ہیں آپ کی، وہ مشکوک ہو جائیں گی. تو خمس کو اتنا اہم سمجھو کہ جیسی صلاۃ ہے، نماز ہے، روزہ ہے، حج ہے. اب میں ہمارے قبلہ و کعبہ سے مسز زیدی سے گزارش کروں گا کہ ہاں کہ میں کو رول کا فروز کریں. بسم اللہ.
نعرہ تکبیر، نعرہ رسالت، نعرہ حیدری، درود محمد وآل محمد پر خلوص بلند تر صلوات. بارے دیگر صلوات.
فاتحہ.
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم.